in third spot was Brad McGee, the Australian, for and 29 kilometres. 1/3 category climb after 13 kilometres, and Cipollini taking the pink jersey by virtue of his sprint in the head and taking that into Giro, taking with that 6 vital seconds. He started the morning in 4 seconds back on the overall leader. Orozco he's now grabbed the pink jersey. But what would happen when you start out on the flatter stage? Everybody's so anxious, they're all nervous. They come into a big race like this one, and we see the big crash then. And Savoldelli unfortunately brought down in that crash and in all sorts of trouble, and they're so close to finish. They have to get help back in. Here is the Seiko Valley team in the red, beginning to pull Savoldelli back into the pack. Running alongside the sea here, we were actually starting out in Rome, heading down into south towards the toe of Italy, running alongside the sea. This is where they're doing the 3 laps, but Baldato in all sorts of trouble following that crash, and later on they'd found he'd actually cracked his shoulder blade, and he would be eliminated from the race. But the main pack coming through then, setting it up for a sprint at the end of it all, and the question was who's going to grab this one. So many people in with a shout to try and grab it, because Mr. Cipollini is the #1 sprinter. But on this particular occasion, coming to the line, guess who got it? Quaranta, 3-time stage victor in the Tour of Langkawi at the early part this year. Also last year opened up the Tour of Italy with a superb sprint victory there too. Just showed look how he comes up on the rise in front, nips through there, comes straight round them, grabs the first stage like he did last year when he beat Blyleven's and Cipollini, and Quaranta grabbing the victory. But Cipollini, having got those seconds bonus, was going to be the man who would have to come up later on to take the pink jersey, whilst Quaranta enjoyed his moments of glory up on the victory. In his time, I'm just starting out. But Cipollini didn't get the victory there. He got the Intergiro sprint, and that gave him enough few seconds bonus to take the pink jersey at the end of stage 1. So what's happened to our favourites then? Well, not much. Garcelle and De Luca staying where we thought they should be. Savoldelli, Rebel and Tonkov dropping down a bit. There wasn't much change overall, because much of it's to do with the seconds that have been gained in the sprints between the top men, and still only maybe about a minute covering something like 60 riders, which is an epic. Over the years we talk about stages where things have happened, and if you haven't seen our coverage of the Tour of Italy so far, just stay with us throughout the rest of this program, particularly on this day. Whatever you've got to do, just stay and watch what it is, because this day is in 229 kilometres, that's 143. But the epic pictures really, and if I was to put together a video of put him on the stretcher. He refused to go in the ambulance, did Matt Stevens, the ex-British champion from 2 years ago now, and he just said, that's it, I'm getting back on my bike. He came in something like 25 minutes down on this treacherous day. He had to ride on his own, and the next day and days afterwards, we were seeing banners out the side of the road from the Italian public. Breakaway group that we'd got was beginning to split, because we had a breakaway group, and off the top of that climb, this man decided as we went in toward the finish, he would set off and try and split the thing to pieces. So a brilliant ride then by Marini, coming away from the rise. He was originally Tassato, Kroon, Guterres, Buonahora, Matt White, Piccolo had all been with him, but he left them for dead coming in those final few kilometres to ride in, not only to stake the stage victory, did Christian Marini, but when they counted back his time, he was up there and he took over the plateau. The rest of our favourites, you can see how they're ducking and diving here. Well, Tonkov's still in there, 23rd spot, Savoldelli dropping down there, and Rebel into 17th, but Tonkov looking fairly confident, and I think for what we might see later on, he's settled in on a very, very bad day indeed. Running into Scalia, 174 kilometres, and quite happy for the bunch in some respects. We've got no climbs to Jersey the day for yesterday, and so Tassato, taking 3rd spot, had moved within 1 second of the overall leader, having taken the 3rd spot. We just saw Matt White there starting to attack, because it was a bit undulating towards the back of the race. Not particularly nasty stuff that would feature in the Kingdom Managed competition, but enough to break up the rhythm. White had attacked, then Guterres has a go as well. And yes, even Cipollini starts to get on the front and wind things up. The action too for the McCartney team, but when it came down to the sprint, there was a sudden burst across there. Cipollini's Ferrara fighting it out towards the end. And watch this now. See what Cipollini does in the red. Watch Ferrara in the blue and the pink coming through. And here goes Chippo. Boomf. I'm sure my commentator Steve Holes on the boxing side would have enjoyed that sort of right hook. But that's it. Cipollini came across the line, and eventually the judges said, "Way, that's naughty, naughty." That's not the first time, by the way, these two have had the comeuppance in the Tour of Italy. It's happened before. I think it was 87, sorry, 97, the last time it happened, when Serrata got first place after Cipollini was disqualified. But the judges had a look at the pictures, and in the end, Cipollini was disqualified. Much was discussed, and Serrata got the victory. And that was, what, his 5th victory, but of course Cipollini moving on to nearly 30 victories in the Tour of Italy. Later on he said, well, these things happen, but the screen, not the riders in the top bit, just moving up a notch or two. Salvadelli holding himself in 8th spot overall, but the gap between the top men and the leader, not very much indeed. You go back as far as Casagrande, it was only 47 seconds down on Marini, so it always happened later in the mountains. Now then, on the stage 4 of the race into Matera, 227 kilometres of all, an early breakaway group. And but that is going to be one of the epic shots of cycle racing that I've ever seen. And the amazing thing was, look how the riders go round. Schneider, who was clipped by the motorcycle, then gets back on his bike and joins the race. The amazing thing was the reaction. Look again at it. Look, bang. He moves across. The motorcycle was more or less keeping a straight line. I don't know what on earth happened there, but really they shouldn't get that close to rider. I know I've been a bit upset about it, but the motorcycles sometimes do get too close to rider. One of the officials that was on his motorbike, and the amazing thing was, look, he's standing on the side of the road. His bike was down there. Here it goes again. Clip. Down he goes. Now you watch the bunch behind. This is phenomenal. This is professional bike handling at its best. And thank goodness a lot more people didn't come off in that particular crash. It was really something else, wasn't it? But in the sprint, they all come back together. Guess what? The man in red bursts in the pack, and here he goes, looking strong again. The Lion King grabs the victory. So Cipollini takes over the victory ahead of Konashev. Martino back into 3rd spot. That's Martino for the Polti team that Cipollini is about to overtake. Martino used to be the lead-out man for Cipollini. On this occasion, he just went past him like he was nailed to tarmac. Konashev in the blue pants coming up just behind to take 2nd spot. Martino had to be into 3rd, but it was close then, just ahead of the Giro of the Vital Seguros team back in. So, and all our stars there, well, they moved up 1 notch, but not much. The gap still quite close between them and the top runners. Well, going on now to stage 5 into Peschici. You can see that breakaway on your screen. Then Gasparoni, Vagondi, McRae, Manzoni and Velotti. But behind it, Marini decided the best thing to do was to defend his jersey by attacking as well. And wants to get up and join any escaping groups, and the rest behind start to motor as well. Tremendous to see him coming up towards the earlier escaping group. Just watch this now as Chepe Gonzalez, who tried to launch himself in no man's land, comes a right box of tricks. Well, out of trouble, the rest of the bunch managed to get round Gonzalez in the pink jersey, catching up with the leaders. And so Marini now stamping authority upon the race. But the point was, at the end of this stage, again, there were going to be the particular time bonuses, and Marini not being the world's greatest sprinters, they came up toward this 2-kilometre climb up into Peschici. This is a nasty little climb up here, and it certainly sapped the strength of the pink jersey. He was back in the main pack now, but he wasn't going to get a chance to get in amongst the time bonuses, and they came up bursting out the pack. De Luca, Daniel De Luca, thundering across the line, looking for the victory, just makes it on the line. There he is. Bang for De Luca, that's his victory. Belli in 2nd spot, Lanfranchi back into 3rd, but by virtue of the time bonuses, Tessato moving up drop into the overall classification in the pink jersey. And so it was bad luck for Marini to lose that one, but a great ride by Daniel De Luca, who came through. Watch him now on the inside here. Belly up in front on this last 2k climb. Thought he got all stitched up, but he didn't look to the right. He looks to the left. As he looks left, and then suddenly who pops on the right-hand side? De Luca found a slot, and they suddenly thought, oh my goodness me, I've made a wrong move there. Had he stayed nearer to the barriers, Belly, he might have got the stage. But as it was, De Luca took the stage, grabbed 12 seconds vital bonus as well to Sato. You can see the size of him here, grabbing the pink jersey, and lying ahead of him was still these enormous great climbs yet to come. So De Luca moving up in the 5th spot, Salvadori holding his position, Belly by that 2nd place, moving up there into 9th, and the rest of them on your screen virtually holding their place. But look at Casagrande beginning to move forward. He's in 26th spot, behind him Simone Ingotti closing up on the leaders, so it was all up for grabs. To Vasto, 160 kilometres, that's exactly 100 miles, running up alongside the coast. By now the riders were moving up through what's called a...
Cominciano a muovere anche gli uomini della Passaportolo.
Well, coming in towards the finish yet again, as the pack coming together, it's going to be very much down to those sprinters who are able to cope with little climb like you see here. And while Saika Mobovetto have been doing a lot of work to pull it back, plus the Lampre-Daikin team, at the end, coming on the right-hand side of the screen, it was none other than Konashev that burst through to take the victory of the stage. Just heard Bladavan's in 2nd spot, Mr. Gleer in 3rd spot for Lampre-Daikin. And here you go, watch again. There, that is Konashev in the blue shorts. On the right-hand side, trying desperately hard. Bladavan's now riding for Polte team, looking for a victory. Wasn't going to get it. And Mr. Gleer was going to come across the line in 3rd spot. Well, the other thing about getting the 1st spot there for Konashev, he took the 12 seconds bonus. Bladavan's was no threat overall. So once he got the victory, it stopped Sato losing his position on the general classification to Marini, who started 3 seconds back, and Guitres 14 seconds back on the day's stage. So Sato kept the jersey, riding for the same team as Konashev, the Fassa Bortolo team. So once more, the team were happy with their day's work, and generally speaking, you see they all stayed there because they all came in together, all the top stars. No great change overall as regards the people who could be in there. Was early on, Mackenzie took the bull by the horns and nipped off down the road. David Mackenzie riding for the Linda McCartney team, some 18 kilometres out, had been riding with Robin McEwen up the front, and he said, hey, I feel strong today. So Robin McEwen, another Australian, said to him, why the heck don't you get stuck in? Off you go. So Mackenzie popped off down the road, and off he went, and it's built up quite a lead. In fact, I think his maximum lead was around about 12 minutes at the maximum time it was on the stage coming in. So the big thing was, on that particular day, David Mackenzie going away on the stage and really rode and rode and rode his heart out. We're looking now at Maddaloni, who came across to try and pull back David Mackenzie. And in the team car alongside the job of going in there and following the Mackenzie survived it. So the gap was coming down all the way through towards the back end, but in the end he crossed the line with the rest of the pack coming in behind. Look at that, by the way, is John Deering, who got a right old ear rolling and a thumping, because this is a particular day when Chelsea were beating Aston Villa in the cup final, and he was wearing the Chelsea shirt, and the bosses of Linda McCartney didn't like that. I can understand why, but David Mackenzie here celebrating his first real major victory, and as far as Linda McCartney's team was concerned, they'd shown they were coming to this thing with a vengeance. In the background, see, but maybe a Union Jack waving, I don't know, but Linda McCartney's team has stamped the authority on the race. The 2nd spot went to Duma ahead of Konashev. There was no change over for